The winner of the first event, then known as the Daytona Continental, Dan Gurney, won in an unconventional and spectacular way. With mere minutes remaining on the clock, Gurney's Lotus Climax began to fail, not expecting the car to make one more lap, and with a 3-minute lead, Gurney parked the car at the start-finish line, careful not to cross the line until he'd seen the checkered flag of victory. Gurney would go on to win the event we now know as the Daytona 24 Hours once more as a car owner. His All-American Racers team building the winning Toyota Eagle GTP, the most dominant car of its era. The Big Eagle passed away from complications of pneumonia on January 14th. Racing will go on, as it always does, but it will go on without one of its most spectacular pioneers. The 56th running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona sees the strongest and most international field the event has seen since the mid-90s. This year's entry sees 50 cars spread across 3 different classes of competition. The first class we'll take a look at in the Bandwagoner's Guide is the 20-car prototype field, with a combination of IMSA's own DPI formula along with the WEC P2 cars and new international and homegrown entries. IMSA's P class is booming. It's a diverse field of prototypes too, though all entries are required to run Continental tires. Let's start out with the defending champions of the Rolex 24, Wayne Taylor Racing, with their dominant Cadillac DPI. No Jeff Gordon this year. The car is headlined by IMSA prototype champion Jordan Taylor, Renger van de Zande, who moves over from the Visit Florida racing team, and 2014 Indianapolis 500 champion Ryan Hunter-Reay. Keeping with the Cadillac theme, we move on to the Action Express racing team. Car number 5, the Mustang sampling entry, was tantalizingly close to an overall victory last year. The same driver lineup returns this year: Felipe Albuquerque, João Barbosa, and Christian Fittipaldi, and they're looking for revenge. Car 31, the Wheel and Engineering Cadillac, driven by Philippe Nassar, Stuart Middleton, Eric Curran, and Toyota WEC factory driver Mike Conway. New to the Cadillac ranks this year is the Spirit of Daytona racing team. The driver talent includes Matt McMurray, Tristan Vautier, and Eddie Cheever III. This team took an overall podium at last year's Rolex 24 with a Gibson-powered Riley, perhaps the most underperforming car in the prototype field. Makes you wonder what they can do with the most dominant car in the field. The most recent prototype winners at IMSA are the Tequila Patron ESM team with their Nissan DPIs. Car number 2 is driven by team owner Scott Sharp, Ryan Dial, and sports car ace Olivier Pla, while car 22 is driven by Johannes van Overbeek, the always quick Pippo Durrani, and Nicolas Lapierre. The team that masterminded Audi's incredible prototype dominance, Joest Racing, hasn't been seen at Daytona since 1993. That changes this year as they make their return to the Daytona High Banks as the brand new Mazda factory prototype team. Car 55 is driven by Mazda factory pilot Jonathan Bomarito, Harry Tinknell moving over from the Ford GT program, and IndyCar driver Spencer Pigot, while Car 77 utilizes former Audi talent Olivier Jarvis, Tristan Nunez, another Mazda factory driver, and Rene Rast. Another happy return to the prototype ranks is Team Penske. Many sports car fans have happy memories of the DHL Porsche RS Spyders from Penske and the intense rivalry that the Penske Porsches had with the Acura-powered prototypes in that series. At the time, one would have never guessed that Penske and Acura would eventually join forces, but that's exactly what has happened. And Acura Team Penske, with their brand new ARX 05 chassis, are ready and willing to shake up the DPI status quo. Car number 6 is piloted by American Dane Cameron, who comes over from the Wheel and Engineering Action Express team. Juan Pablo Montoya, who sat out IndyCar last year testing this Acura. And 2016 IndyCar champion Simon Pagenaud. Car number 7 is piloted by Elio Castroneves in his first full season as a sports car driver, as well as 2 drivers that prove Roger Penske is more powerful than your daddy. as Ricky Taylor moves from the Wayne Taylor racing operation and IndyCar regular Graham Rahal moves away from his regular seat at his dad's BMW team. Now time to talk about the international invaders, the teams coming from the World Endurance Championship and drivers from the premier categories across the world. Indianapolis, this is not, but the big news still is that Fernando Alonso is here and he's ready to test for a 24 Hours of Le Mans debut in June.
Fernando Alonso? He's my favorite IndyCar driver. I can't wait for him to run the Rolex 24. He's gonna win it just like Jeff Gordon. I need to go tell Jean-Claude. He loves right-hand turns.
Okie dokie. United Autosports, the team that is owned by the man who also runs the McLaren F1 team, Zach Brown. And piloting Ligier number 23, the bandwagon car of this year, Phil Hansen, Lando Norris, a standout driver from Great Britain, and our Lord and Savior, Fernando Alonso. Car 32 also sports a spectacular driver lineup. Will Owen, Hugo de Sadler, Bruno Senna, moving away from the Tequila Patron ESM team, and Paul di Resta, bringing the United Autosports lineup to 2 drivers with F1 experience in the last year. The other international prototype team competing in this year's Rolex 24 is the 2017 24 Hours of Le Mans P2 winner, and the team that very nearly stole a P2 overall victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Jackie Chan Racing.
Jackie Chan? I love Jackie Chan Adventures on Saturday mornings. I'm so glad he has a racing team. I'm gonna root for them instead of Alonso.
It's not Jackie Chan Racing, you half-wit. It's Joda Sport.
Okay, this is getting weird. Moving on. Car 37 for Jackie Chan DCR Jota will bring the field to 3 active Formula One drivers, as Lance Stroll will lead the driver lineup of Felix Rosenqvist and Robin Frins of Formula E fame, as well as Daniel Juncadella. Car 78 will be headlined by Chinese driver Ho Pin Tung, P2 prototype ace Alex Brundle, Ferdinand Hausberg Lothringen, and Antonio Felix da Costa, also of Formula E fame. Now for the American contingent of the P2 runners. The JDC Miller Motorsports team was the standout of the new teams for the prototype division last year. Their success has allowed them to expand to 2 cars. The classic banana boat colored number 85 will be piloted by Simon Trummer, Robert Alon, Delvin DeFrancesco, and Austin Cindric. And fans of the old Grand Am Rolex series will be very happy with car number 99 out of the JDC Miller Motorsports stable, as Gainesco Auto Insurance makes its return to the prototype division for the first time since 2015. The new Red Dragon will be piloted by Chris Miller, Stephen Simpson, Misha Goikber, and Gustavos Menez. Another prototype team returning from last year also has new financial backing, as the PR1 Mathiasen Motorsports team has found funding from AFS and Gary Peterson. Peterson's favorite driver, Sebastian Saavedra, will headline the quartet of drivers in this car. The always exciting Gustavo Yakiman, Roberto Gonzalez, and Nicolas Boulier. Rounding out the prototype field for this year's Rolex 24 are 3 teams that are refugees from the now defunct Prototype Challenge class. Bar One Motorsports is the only team running a generic Multimatic Riley powered by a Gibson. The chassis is unloved, but it makes Mark Drumright and Eric Lux the underdog favorites. Car number 38, Performance Tech Motorsports, nearly had a perfect season in the Prototype Challenge category last year, and are looking to bring that success to the Prototype division. A strong 4-driver lineup for this team: James French, Pato Award, Kyle Mason, and Joel Miller. And perhaps the strongest of the new prototype teams for IMSA, Core Autosport. Jonathan Bennett, Colin Braun, Romain Dumas, and Loic Duval lead a very strong driver contingent. So from the prototype division, we move on to the GTLM division. Only 9 cars in this year's field, down from last year, but the quality is still the same. We start with last year's winners, Ford Chip Ganassi Racing. Only down to 2 cars this year, as the team has elected not to bring their World Endurance program to Daytona. Car 66 is run by Joey Hand, Dirk Muller, and IndyCar star Sebastian Bourdais. Car 67 is equally as strong. Ryan Briscoe, former IndyCar driver, Richard Westbrook, former star of the Daytona prototype division, and Scott Dixon, the most successful modern-era IndyCar racer. It wouldn't be a race at Daytona without a little bit of Ford and Chevy rivalry. Corvette Racing's 2 cars are as strong as ever. Car 3 continues to be led by Jan Magnussen, along with Antonio Garcia and former Audi LMP1 driver Mike Rockenfeller, while Car 4 also retains a familiar driver lineup: Olivier Gavin, Tommy Milner, and Marcel Fassler. It's year 2 for Porsche's new rear-engine 911, and it's probably the best-sounding car on the IMSA grid at the moment. Good sound and good drivers: Patrick Pilet, Nick Tandy, a Le Mans winner, and Frederick Makowicki. And Porsche number 912, led by Lawrence Van Thorp, Earl Bamber, and Jimmy Bruni. The lone Ferrari in the class again comes from Risi Competizione, which fans will be pleased to see is back for a full season after missing most of the year last year after a crash at Le Mans. Tony Vilander, Alessandro Pierguini, James Collado, and David Rigon lead this Ferrari into a battle with more well-funded teams and manufacturers. And rounding out the GTLM field is the BMW Team RLL, with their brand new car, the BMW M8. Car number 24 is driven by Jesse Krohn, John Edwards, Nicky Katzberg, and Augusto Farfus, while car number 25 is driven by Alexander Sims, Connor DeFilippi, Bill Auberland, and Philip Eng. The M8 is a new car and therefore will probably have teething problems in its first endurance race, but once they get the kinks worked out, this car may be a very potent GTE competitor. Moving on from the GTE division to the 21-car-strong GTD division. This class is so dense and so diverse, we have to break out the bandwagon board to go over it. Car number 11 is headlined by former IndyCar driver Frank Pereira. Car 14, the first of the 3 GT Racing Lexuses, is headlined by Bruno Junqueira, another former IndyCar driver. Keeping with the former IndyCar driver theme, Car 15, the other Lexus on the GTD grid, is headlined by Jack Hawksworth and by Scott Pruitt, who will be making his final racing start after an illustrious career that spanned IndyCar, Trans Am, sports cars, NASCAR, and let's face it, pretty much everything with 4 wheels. Hi to my family at home, and you can expect that Scott Pruitt is going to be trying very hard to get a win in his final race. Car 29 is a personal favorite of yours truly. Of course, my last name is Land, and so is the last name of the team owner of Land Motorsports. So I am sending my personal feelings and hopes and prayers out to the Land Motorsport Audi R8 LMS that they will have a good run. Car 44 is the return of Magnus Racing to IMSA after a couple years in Pirelli World Challenge. Andy Lally and Marcus Winkelhock headline this Audi. And Brian Sellers of Falcon Tire Racing fame now drives for the Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. Car 51, the Spirit of Race Ferrari, is driven by Pedro Lamy of Peugeot 908 fame and the son of famous F1 World Champion Niki Lauda, Matheus Lauda. Car 58 sees a great driver pairing in Patrick Long, a Porsche factory driver, and Christina Nielsen, who had such great success in GTD Ferraris the last couple years, now will drive a Porsche. Car 64, another Ferrari for Scuderia Corsa, is where we find former IndyCar driver Townsend Bell, as well as Formula E standout Sam Bird. Car 69, the first of the Acura NSX racing cars. Acura factory GT driver and part-time podcaster Ryan Eversley, as well as Sean Rahal, who has driven everything from a Legends car to an Indy Lights. Car 73, the Park Place Motorsport Porsche, finds longtime Porsche factory driver Jörg Bergmeister, still kicking. Car 73 finds the owner of Sun Energy One and a part-time, or at least former part-time, NASCAR Xfinity driver Kenny Habul. Car 86, the Michael Shank Racing NSX, finds Catherine Legg and AJ Allmendinger. The former Champ Car competitors are great friends off the track. And the other Michael Shank Acura NSX finds Justin Marks, a NASCAR Xfinity Series winner on the road courses. The final GTD car is the Turner Motorsport BMW, the only car of its type in the Rolex 24. The driver lineup is headlined by DTM star Martin Tomczyk. So that's a look at the grid for the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Here are my 3 picks for the class winners of this year's Rolex. In prototype, I'm taking the number 90 Spirit of Daytona. I think they've got the best chance to win. They've got the right equipment, and they've got the right mentality for endurance racing. GTLM, I'm going to take the 911 Porsche. I think Porsche's long overdue for a 24-hour race win, at least in the GT class, and I think they're going to pull it off. GTD is much harder to pin down as it's such a wide open and yet diverse field. However, I'm going to bandwagon my own namesake and pick the number 25 Monteplast by Land Motorsport Audi. You know, sometimes it helps to have a familial connection in racing. So what are your picks for the 56th running of the Rolex 24? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love doing these Bandwagoner guides. This is probably the best one I've ever done, so hope to see you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and check out some more racing content. This has been David Land on YouTube. We'll see you in the next video.